Let's take a look at the very first few things that you should know about SA Write when you get started. So we'll start off by adding a tracker or other instrument, and you do that by using the Add Instrument icon right up here on the toolbar. So we click on that and you'll see a list of all the instruments that you've previously connected to, or if this is a new instrument to you, then you can just select the All Instruments icon and then pick it from there. So we'll just pick a 960 and then add that instrument. And now that the instrument is added to the job file, in order to run the instrument through SpatialAnalyzer, you just need to connect to it. So we do that using this icon, which is a running man for the run interface. So I'll select laser trackers. If your firewall restricts access, you may need to approve that. And then we'll just select the tracker that we're going to connect to. So for training purposes, I'm not going to connect to the tracker, but if you're running an actual tracker, you will obviously want to leave that checked. So then once you've started the tracker, you'll notice our instrument interface. And the instrument interface has basically two different looks to it. The first one here is the most popular one to use, is the instrument toolbar, which contains all of your most frequently used shortcut buttons. But if you prefer the old method, you can also switch to the standard instrument interface. And so if I click there, then you'll see this is the standard instrument interface. So if you'll notice, the instrument interface is a separate window from the SpatialAnalyzer window. And in order to dock that, you can just hit this button right here to dock it inside of SpatialAnalyzer. And then you'll have your instrument interface there, and you can always use this icon to change between the instrument interface and the instrument toolbar. Just as easy as that. So once you've added the instrument, let's talk about a few of the important things that you need to choose before you start shooting points. And to do that, I'll just use the instrument toolbar here. So there's really three main things that you need to choose before you just start shooting data, and that is the name of the point, the target that you'll be shooting, and the measurement profile here. So let's look at those in a little bit more detail here right now. So first of all, if you click in this box right here, it gives you the option to set the name of the point that you're going to be taking. And every target has three main points of data. That's the collection that it goes in, and the collection is over here in the tree bar. If you leave it blank, it will just go into whatever the active collection is. Next is the group, and a point group is useful for separating points out into individual features or objects, or otherwise grouping them in a way that'll make sense for your analysis later on. So you can select the group here, and if you've already shot some points, you'll be able to click the down arrow there and see all the groups that you have. But if you haven't, you can just type in a name right there, and then you'll be able to set the target name. So the group is sort of like the street, the address, and then the target name is sort of like the house number, that each point has to have an individual and unique name inside of the group. So typically that starts with P1, and so we'll just hit OK there. And again, to get back to that dialog, just click in this gray box area right here for the instrument interface point naming dialog. Okay, so the next thing that you'll need to choose is the target that you're going to use to shoot your data. So we have some presets that are here, and these are 4 quick select presets. But if you don't see the target that you'd like to use, you can very easily add it by just right-clicking on any one of these icons and changing it to the target that you'd like to use. So let's change this one to a SMR 1.5 inch, and you'll see that that one is one that we already had. If you don't see the target that you'd like to use in this list here, then you can easily go down to Define New Target. And when you hit Define New Target, you'll see this dialog pop up, which gives you the ability to create new targets in here. So the first thing that you'll choose when you're going to define a new target is what type of reflector are you using. And once you choose that reflector that you're going to use, you will be able to add additional options. So I'm just going to start with a 1.5 inch SMR here, and then add from selected reflector. Now we have the standard options here that almost every instrument comes with as far as the laser tracker goes. and that is your pin nest, plane nest, and edge nest. And you'll notice that the pin nest is set for an 1/8 inch additional radial offset, which makes this a 1/4 inch pin nest. So in a typical 1/4 inch pin nest, you're adding an extra 1/4 inch of planar offset and an 1/8 inch of radial offset. The next one is plane nest and edge nest. So if I go ahead and select all three of those, we can add 3 new targets to our target list there. So I'll just hit OK. And you can see that these actually appear with an asterisk next to them because I've already created those up here previously. So, but in order to use those, now all you have to do is just go back to this and right click here and select the target that you'd use. So let's go to make this one a pin nest. That is we have an edge nest, and then this one we'll set as a plane nest. So there's our 4 most commonly used targets right here. And so in order to take a point, the second thing that you need to look at is making sure you've selected the correct target. And then finally, the last thing that you want to do is select your measurement profile. And the measurement profile is just basically the way that SpatialAnalyzer is going to take data from the instrument. So the 4 most common types of measurement profiles are the single point, which when you press this, takes a single point in SA. There's another one called stable point, and when you do that, it will begin waiting for you to move the SMR, and then it will wait for you to get stable, and then once you've gotten stable for the correct amount of time, it will take a point there. And this is a great feature to use if you're trying to shoot some points by yourself, rather than have to have someone else hit the measure button or even using an RF remote. You can simply use stable point, and as soon as you've gotten stable enough for long enough, SpatialAnalyzer will automatically trigger a point. The third one there is spatial scan. This is where if you want to take a stream of points, you can choose that measurement setting, and the spatial scan also has a stable start trigger, which basically means that it will wait for you to move, it will wait for you to get stable, and then it will begin measuring that stream as well. The fourth one is a tooling ball. And so if you select tooling ball, what SA will do is allow you to take several points around the outside of a tooling ball. And instead of returning all of those points to the job file, it will construct the sphere, find the center of that sphere, and then simply return the center point of the sphere. So you basically get 1 point from a tooling ball measurement instead of a dozen or more points that you would be taking around the outside of a tooling ball. So that can really save you time if you're tying into a tool that has a lot of tooling balls on it. You can just simply use the tooling ball measurement profile, and SA will return just 1 single point at the center there. The next 4 icons here are custom measurement profiles, which you can set to any of the measurement profiles which you've already created. And so if you right click on any one of those, you will get this dialog that allows you to define those. So some other popular ones are precise point, which may vary depending on what brand of tracker that you're using. Another one that you might be interested in is just what we call high point, which is, let me find it here, which is right here. And what high point will do is take a bunch of points while you're scanning, but then only return the point that is highest in the direction of your choosing. So if you want to scan a full plane and then find out which one of those points is the highest point in that plane based on X, Y, or Z magnitude, you can set that with high point as well. So then you've got 2 other options there you can set, and any one of those you can customize to whatever your most used measurement profiles are. So once you've chosen the point name, you've chosen your target that you're going to measure, and the measurement profile, you're ready to go ahead and start measuring.